This is the Amp Hour Podcast, released October 22nd, 2017. Episode 364, The Endless Y2K.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
What's up, nerd?
Not much, man. How's your what's new? I don't even have any questions for you, do I? Wow.
No, you don't.
We're getting started well here. How was that interview? I've been watching those pieces. Those are good interviews. They
are good, and we will release the full 2.5 hour interview as an Amp Hour episode.
Yes, that's right.
So stay tuned.
That was an interesting chat, though. Why was he in town?
He
HP guy?
He was here to see me. So
just to see you?
Well, he's a fan of the channel, and he was in Singapore, which is kind of sort of close.
Yeah, closer than New York to LA, probably, right?
Yeah, and exactly, and he wanted to come to Australia and have a chat.
Cool, nice.
So I went, yep, cool.
You're like a spot on the map now. You were
right. Yes, I am. Every man and his dog's turning up.
Well, I was going to say, so what happens when people want to show up from our listener audience? Is there a application process?
There's a extreme vetting. Yes.
Right. It's like you gotta fight like the underboss. You gotta fight David too, and if you beat him, then you get to Dave.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. And then you get through the gatekeeper. Right.
That's right. Right. That's good.
Anyway, yes, that was fantastic.
Cool.
So we just press record, and
Add
2.5 hours later, magic comes out the other end.
Cool, man.
I'm stunned at the amount of stuff we actually got through. Like I've got, when I was editing the videos into 5 separate parts, there's still 2 more. 1 was released this morning, 4 and 5 are still yet to be released. And like I'm writing, like notes of, what things were discussed in there. It's just insane the amount of stuff we covered.
Yeah, right.
In each 30-minute episode, there's 20 different things we talk about.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
Well, I mean, who was I talking to about this? I mean, like when you get together with other electronics people, though, too, right? It's like there's so many things that you could talk about. I'm trying to recall this conversation I had. Someone was like, "Well, what happens when you talk to other electronics people?" And it was a software person asking me this. And I think they were no, it wasn't a software person. It was a philosophy person. They were saying, like philosophy people like to get together and argue ideas. And they're like, don't you do that for electronics? And I'm like, sort of. But Kinda. It's like, but there's so many different things to talk about, and there's so many varied experiences. So you and I have very varied experiences. Obviously, our listeners have very varied experiences. You and John Kenny had very different experiences as well, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's almost just like the first step of people getting together. It's not like philosophy people get together like, what is the nature of existence? Oh, well, let's talk about that one question. It's more like, well, what's your favorite resistor? I don't know. That's a terrible example, but but there's the first step is just kind of narrowing, where the crossover even happens, and then leveling of expectations, because the topics are usually so varied and yet so deep at the same time.
And tangents can happen, as I said, cover 20 different things in 30 minutes. Tangents are happening every 1 or 2 minutes.
Right, exactly.
On average. It's just nuts.
Right.
One thing leads to probably less so in philosophy chat, for example, because, you would have to discuss for 30 minutes or an hour.
I'm sure there's drilling down and stuff like that. I don't. Well, I've never had one of those philosophical chats before.
Right.
But, it was an interesting thing because they asked me that, and I was like, well, I don't really argue about things because usually I'm most of the time I'm just trying to figure out what they know so I can kind of claim that knowledge as my own. Gotta have something to talk about on the show. Yeah. So well, that's great, man. That's great. I talked to someone else about Meetups the other day too, and they were very nervous about electronics meetups, and I was like, well,
What, actually hosting one or going to
not
one?
hosting, but just kind of like I think
Actually
probably
going
in
to
the
one.
same realm of like going there and then not knowing anyone.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, right.
gave the standard advice of well, just bring a product, because you can always point to something and be like, well, yeah, what do you think of this? And they're like, oh yeah,
And I'm a big proponent of the name tag. I know they're dorky,
yep.
but if
yep.
you've got the name tag, it's like, oh, I know you from the forum, and you can like you've
That's
got
true.
an in
Yep.
to walk up to them and hey, I know you from the
Yeah.
forum. I remember your post.
Right.
Like
Nerds
you've
just
got
need an
something to
excuse,
start
right?
off with, right? Otherwise, like you can't just walk up to everyone and go, hi, who are you?
Right.
That's like daunting to even.
That's
even
like a
the most
salesperson
social
thing,
people.
right?
Yeah, that's like you've got
That's
to
like
be a kind.
type A,
Right,
alpha male,
right. A type A social,
right? That is not
person.
us.
Yeah.
That is not
no,
us.
that is almost it rules out almost every engineering techie
Yep.
type
Yep.
person. Yep. So whereas if you've got an in, that's different.
Right, exactly. Well,
So,
and
yeah.
I was also I was talking to someone else about like meetups and stuff like that. And the thing I always try and do is like, so if you are feeling a little more comfortable, right, introduce someone else. Like, so if someone comes up and they're showing you some hardware, I usually just pull the next person next to me. I'm like, have you seen this? That
Yeah,
usually
right.
sticks people together, because then you know they explain it again too. Again, another plus in the the realm of bringing hardware to meetups. Got to do it,
That reminds me, I've got to do a second one.
You still haven't done a
Got to do a
meetup?
follow-up. No, I haven't done a second
Jesus,
one
Dave.
yet.
Since April. Okay, well,
Is it really April? What is it now? Shit, it's October. Well, everyone said like
8
every
months,
6
man.
months.
That's
well,
8.
Okay, I'm a little bit over. People said like 6 months.
That's true,
Like
that's
people
true.
said like every month would be far too. Every 2 months was probably
what
too
Dave
soon.
means to say is he needs someone who's in who's in Sydney who would help him co-organize. That's what Dave's trying to say right now. So that
I don't need to co-organize.
Yes, you do.
I can do it. No, I
You
don't.
need someone just to like kick your butt and to be like,
Well, that's what a co-organizer is. Someone who
Right.
just says, "Frickin' do it."
right.
Because
Yeah.
for me, it's just a simple email to the
Sure.
guy who runs the place that we went to and choose a date.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
So, EEV blog meetup coming up, hopefully before the next time I get back there.
Yep. Hang on. David,
Oh, there you
remind
go.
me. We'll make a thing and we'll make another meetup. Task me.
Yeah, that guy's social.
Yes.
He'll
All right.
do it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, there we go.
There you
All
go.
New EEV
He'll
blog meetup.
hassle me. Yep.
Right.
He'll hassle me until I do it.
Great. There you go. That's
Cool.
why you have employees.
Yep.
Cool, man. Well, what else is new?
I don't know.
Building hardware?
Sorry. No, I'm very close to getting my first 50 121
Oh, nice.
GW multimeters, and there was a last minute software thing, and they've
As
now
there is.
delayed
There always
something
is, yeah.
like this. Just it just never ends. Even after we ship these, there'll be there'll be countless firmware problems. It's just impossible to do it. That's
How is
why
the
like,
firmware?
the first,
Does the firmware upload over Bluetooth?
No, it's an SD card. So you
Oh,
put it on the
that's not
micro
terrible.
SD card and put it. No, we originally wanted to update over Bluetooth, and they, that was my original concept because I thought, well, obviously you got Bluetooth. Why wouldn't you do firmware updating over Bluetooth?
Right.
That'd be cool. And then they came back to me and said, look, we can do it, but it's a crap ton of work.
Yeah, right. yeah.
To actually implement that, and it's not reliable, and it's like because like the actual Bluetooth is not reliable at the best of times, let alone for
Right. Yeah, the way that I
firmware
understand
update.
those, so we talked about OTA, that's OTA, right, over the air sort of kind of
Yep.
updates, right?
Well-
so we talked about that last week on the with
Yeah.
Jen and Alvaro, and the way I understand it, at least, is you need like at least another segment of memory, or you need a separate memory space, so you could be like,
Yep.
here's firmware A. I just downloaded firmware B. I did a checksum on firmware B. I stored it into
Yep.
memory.
Yep.
I load
That's
firmware
right.
B where firmware A was, while still also holding on to firmware. Well, I don't load it in there. I don't overwrite it. I just
Yes.
load it up, see if it works. If it does work, then I can go and copy firmware B to where firmware A was, and now firmware B slot is open for future firmware. Does that sound right?
That's correct. Yes. Otherwise, you can't live update
Yeah.
you can't live.
You
do
can,
it. You've
but
gotta-
usually it works once.
Well, it's pretty hard.
Right.
And whereas the alternative solution was practically already done for us because we're using an STR micro,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And
Yeah.
ST have already written and all this has to exist in the bootloader. Right?
Yeah.
Because that's the way you protect it and do everything else, right? So the bootloader's got to be small, but then if you implement the Bluetooth thing, you've got to add all the Bluetooth crap
Oh,
to the,
to the bootloader?
to the bootloader.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Whereas ST have already done this, right? ST already provide a library that reads an SD card, right? So they've done that, and also they've already written the bootloader stuff for load-in firmware.
Right.
From SD cards. Like, it was already written for us. So it was like, well,
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense too
obvious
because
decision made. And you don't upgrade firmware all the time. So having to, take the battery cover off and take out the SD card is not really, it's hardly a
and
big
loading
deal.
onto an SD card isn't tough either. It's not like you're going to some weird
it's-
in-between format. So
No.
yeah, no, I think
And
that's
it's-
actually
it's-
great. And I
some-
mean,
some
would it be
could argue
possible to upgrade it in the future too if you had like a, if version 2 of the firmware said, okay, now this enables Bluetooth, or would you actually need to refactor the board too?
No, we could do it, but you'd have to change the bootloader code.
Right. That would be like the big dangerous one. It's like do at your own risk. But
no, to change the bootloader code, you've got to have the ST ARM development kit, and there is an internal header. You can do it, right? There's a little. It isn't even 0.1 inch. It's a smaller, pin header inside, and you can do it. But
right. But that's the risky thing because then if you flash that wrong or whatever, so you wouldn't be able to do it.
Your
from the SD
multimeter's
card.
bricked. And the whole idea of bootloaders is you want them to be as dumb and as simple as possible. So in this case, the bootloader has, probably 4 things. It's got the code to read the SD card, obviously.
Yep.
It's got the code to display stuff on the screen. So all the display routines are in the bootloader, and it's got some simple code to read the buttons, right? Because you have to press a button combination to when you turn the meter on to do the firmware update. But that's
right.
all
Up,
it
down,
does.
up, down, left, right,
Yeah.
A, B start. Is that right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
What? Where does that come
That's the Konami code. You don't know the Konami code?
what the hell's the
you're
Konami
too, You're too
code?
old, I think. Yeah, that was like the secret code that was on like tons and tons of video games.
Oh, right. No.
Konami
sorry.
code. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I probably got it wrong too. I'm not gonna sound
Right.
like
Okay.
total
Yeah,
poser
douche.
here. But
Yep.
yeah.
And that's all that's in it, right? And that's all that should be in a bootloader. The more complicated you make it, the more you risk, things going. And because when you send a product out, you want the bootloader to be so simple that nothing can ever go wrong with it, and it's fully compatible always in the future. And,
Bulletproof. Yep.
etc. We did have to change it only once during the development of this, and that was for the LCD contrast. Because as I said, the LCD code was in there, and they had an issue with, they didn't set the registers right, and there was an LCD contrast issue. So to fix that, they had to upgrade the bootloader.
Got it.
But now that that's fixed, we should never have to touch the bootloader again.
Okay, that's great.
That's the plan.
Yeah,
So,
no, I think that's good too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you're doing much are you talking to customers? I guess through the forum kind of thing.
Yeah. No, everyone loves the firmware update via SD card. As far as I know, it's probably the only meter on the market that has an SD card firmware upgrade
interesting.
thing.
Okay.
Most of them are through the serial port. You got to have the serial port
Right. Yep.
interface and do it that way if you can do it at all. Most multimeters don't have firmware update. So
Makes sense.
yep, because they're deemed to be a fixed product. They're deemed to be a product that should not need. It should just work. It should not need firmware updating.
Right. Well, and sometimes they didn't want to make it public either, right? They didn't want people to mess with it.
Well, yeah, but it's a binary. It's not like we're releasing source code. So if you want to go through and disassemble the whole, binary code,
You're not.
you can.
I thought you were talking about doing open source at one point.
Oh, we were. That was the original plan, but in the end, we decided not to.
Got it.
For various reasons.
Okay.
So, yep.
Cool. Well, I signed myself up for some hardware pain the past couple weeks.
Do tell.
I designed in boards with 0402 parts, and I'm going to be hand assembling.
Fool. Why? Why?
I ran out of room. It was also to have. I was copying a design too, so this is for work, but. I was copying a design, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is fine." And then I was like, looking at the board yesterday. I'm like, "What was I thinking?" So
0402s aren't a problem, but you really need magnification. Like I can do them without magnification, but it's pretty ugly.
well, it's gonna be
it's
so like
just
I say
so
hand to
much
sample.
nicer.
I mean hand place. Sorry, I'm gonna do reflow. I got a stencil, like all that
you're
stuff.
gonna do reflow? Wuss.
Okay,
Get in there with your 0.35 millimeter solder and.
and
do each one by hand.
Yeah, no, I would do assembly if I was doing hand assembly.
Yep.
Like that. Yeah, then I would definitely use a magnification for soldering. But no, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Hey, speaking of which, we were cleaning out the lab the other day.
I was gonna bring that up, by the way. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
never trust a person with a clean workbench.
Clean lab.
Yeah,
Yeah. Apparently, I have a flaw. Who knew?
Yeah, right.
You know, right.
It's what holds up all the stuff.
The floor, if you don't know, is the workbench you always have. You know, like
Right.
yeah. Yep.
So you're standing on crap that you, took off the
No,
workbench.
haven't you ever like soldered on the floor? You know, sitting down there doing assembly on the floor. You know,
I
because you
can't
ran
say
out
I
of
have.
workbench space.
That's
You're obviously not working hard enough.
I guess so. Or
Yeah.
I keep my bench at some modicum of cleanliness. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, anyways,
Anyway,
you betrayed your profession and you cleaned your bench. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. It will not last long.
Right, I know. Yeah.
So anyway, so we of course discovered the pick and place kit.
What?
That we
You have a pick and place kit?
we have a pick and place kit. It's what one is it, David? The Vision. Oh, I don't know. The Light Placer. It's the
Light
Light Placer. I think it's the Light Placer.
Okay. Which one?
LITE.
Yeah, of course.
I think. Yes, the lightplacer.com. Yep.
Okay.
The pick and place machine for your lab. And we've got they very kindly sent through a kit, but hang on. It's the thing on the website says it's accurate. It reliably places 0402 passives. Wow. Okay, I might have to test this. And like I thought, it's always been like a lot of it's going to take like a week to build this thing and just get it basically.
Yeah,
working.
I'm looking
We've
at it's a
never had the
gantry,
time.
right? So it looks like it's a gantry with a air suction, whatever, right?
Yep. Yes. Yeah. And you've got to dedicate like a large section of a dedicated bench to do it, to build it. You can't just sweep aside something on your bench and try and build this thing.
Bunch of plugs on there. Looks like
it just looks like a CNC mill, but it's actually
like a routing table, right? Yep.
Yeah. And of course it doesn't have feeders, so you've got to put down you stick down the tape. And then you've got to program the position of the tape and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's not nearly as good as any one.
I'm sure
of the,
I'm going to be like lusting after something like this after my assembly, activities in the next couple of weeks. But yeah,
maybe. But you might find it takes longer to program than it just does to sit there. How many boards are you doing? 1?
50.
Oh, 50. Okay, 50's the. Yeah, and how many parts on each board?
That's a good question. Probably
Ballpark.
20 unique SKUs.
Right.
With like maybe, I mean, a lot of them are like passives and stuff. So probably 50 to 100 total parts.
Oh, okay. Well, suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah, I mean, not all of them are meant to be populated anyways. So
right.
This is I'll post a link of what I posted. Yeah.
50 is the if you're doing that all the time, then you can probably make use of something like that. If you go into the hundreds of boards, you wouldn't bother. You would just send it and farm it out to somebody. That's the narrow niche of these pick and place machines, which were done before. Anyway, we now have the space to do this.
Really?
So I'm thinking, we don't actually have a need for this. Like we're not going to use it, but it would make
it's more like
a
a science experiment, right?
Yeah. It'd make a cool series of videos. Like, hey, what are these? How good are these do-it-yourself pick and place machines?
The measure will be actually if you use it after the fact, right? So like the project thing. So this is like a 3D printer, right? Building it's fun as hell, right? but it's really about like, do you use it as a 3D printer? Like, do you actually need to? Like, I was thinking today, I haven't printed anything in quite a long time.
we printed something a month ago. But no, it doesn't. We don't use it all the time, but we do use it. So much so that we moved it into the office here.
Oh, okay.
It's just sitting right in front of me, and we did use it to print some prototype parts before we got them machined, just so we could get like a look and feel kind of, thing. This thing, like we simply wouldn't use it. We're just not in the, we're not regularly assembling dozens of boards. Like, if you want to assemble one board, just do it by hand.
Yeah. It's always that question of like, where's that line, right?
Right, yeah. Like you can just use the manual tweezers. It's not,
Yeah. The hard part for me, like stencils, for me, stencils are like 1,000 times yes, right? Stencils are so cheap these days, right? And that's a huge hassle for me because not only is it slow on the application piece, right? Doing the dots, even having like a little pneumatic application thing with the foot pedal, whatever. But it's just about the then you put too much down though, and then it's the rework piece, right? At least with the stencil, if I get the right part in the right place, it's almost guaranteed to work.
Yep.
Asterisk, but right.
They're right.
So yeah.
It's fairly tolerant. Fairly tolerant.
Yeah.
By doing that.
Yeah. Right, because it'll just suck it into place, right?
Right, yeah, it'll just, like you just need to be near enough and the surface tension will just go whoop, and center it.
Yep.
It really isn't a big deal. So yeah, like...
Well, this will be a good experiment.
Like, I know I shouldn't go into a project like this, assuming the outcome, right?
What's the assumption?
Well, the assumption is that A, it's not going to be useful for me.
Oh, like
right?
that. I see.
Yeah, I just know it based on my experience and some basic facts, and they're not for everyone. But if you're doing boards like Mike, from Mike's Electric stuff, he was always doing lead boards, which includes
tons
thousands and thousands of leads, right?
Yep.
And he's doing short runs, that's
so
why
low
he
part
has
count, low part variability, right? But lots of placements.
Yeah, but lots of them, and that's why he has his own a real pick and place machine with real feeders and everything else in his home lab.
Yep.
Because that's the business he's in. Making short, he doesn't do thousands of boards, he does dozens or 100,
right.
Kind of thing, and they've got hundreds of the same part on them.
Right.
They're all,
yeah, but talking to Mike too, he's just as quick. He knows his capability too, so he'll just turn it around. If he knows that it's not for him, that he has people
he'll farm
on
it out.
staff that he
can,
not on staff, but like on call, he can
on call, right. No, he'll happily farm it out, but he knows if it's I've got to make 20 of these boards and they've got 500 leads each. Well, I just whack them into the machine and boom, it's going to spit them out. So that's often less hassle than trying to organise with someone and organise a date to have it done where you can just have it done in a day,
right,
or two.
Well, so the same argument. I don't know if I mentioned on the show, but there's someone around here in Chicago, Jamie. And he does Chicago Robotics, it's called, but he has a Neoden 4, and I just referred a friend to him just because he's got a really nice software interface to it, and like a secondary, not using just the vendor software, but also tying into it. And so that's that. It was the TM245, and the same company then made the Neoden 4.
Oh, really? Is that the new one? I'm only aware of the older one.
Yeah, the older one, and the older one didn't have. I think it had up vision only, but not down vision and stuff like that. The new one actually, it's pretty decent. I mean, so I went and saw it, and I, again, you and I talk about this a lot on here. It's not like it was like 10 or 15 grand for this thing, so not like cheap,
right?
But also not like 60 grand like the Mancorps are or whatever. I don't even know the next stage up or whatever, but So I went and saw this thing, and the really interesting thing is that it actually has a board feeder on it, right? So like the I don't know what it's called, like the trolley that the boards get fed into. If you have it panelized, it could do multiple machines, right? And it's a weird format, but the thinking was like, so in a best case scenario, if you had one of those machines, idle all the time with all the common parts on it, that's really the dream,
right? Yep.
And if you had 6 of those machines with all the common parts on it, it's even better. But with the again the asterisks of like, okay, but how are you gonna pay for that? You know, like
Right.
you're gonna pay for that by
But
doing other people's boards, and that sucks.
yeah, it doesn't matter which way you try and spin this, do-it-yourself pick-and-place thing. It's always going to be an extremely narrow niche where they're useful.
Right. Yeah.
There's just no magic bullet here. It's never. I'm calling it, right. It's never going to happen.
Did you say you were trying to keep an open mind too, though?
But I'm a bloody realist, right? I just like these things. There are inherent complexities of pick and place machines and logistical complexities of pick and place machines that will, like essentially never been solved. Like the feeders are like there's a few ideas floating around about feeders where hey you could just pull them off the tape, right? You don't have to have the complex tape feeders. Just pull them off the tape, put them in a bin, and then you have like a vibrator just that, and you have 100% vision. So eventually you'll flip one up the right way, and then the vision automatically finds it, and stuff like that. Yeah, that can add some improvements and things like that.
Right.
But it's just.
Right. Well, the best thing to do is just make a lot of boards.
The assembly as a service thing has basically, killed the dream of that.
Right. Well,
it's
and
so
that's actually
easy to.
We've got some news about that too. Macrofab.
We do have some news, don't we?
Yeah, Macrofab just announced they're doing so many of these things that they're expanding too. So that's cool. Congrats to them. They're going to Mexico. Viva la Mexico. So they're gonna have a new spot, I guess. So they've been prototyping focused, and now they're getting enough questions, I guess, to be like, well, just transition it to a production level kind of thing. So it's not 5 boards, it's now 500 boards or whatever. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it'll be slower, right? I mean, they even show on their little screenshot that it's 40 days, right? So that's.
Right. That's a long time. That's a lot. Like that's an agonizingly
well, yeah,
long time.
But if it's cheaper, right? I mean, that's
no, of course.
That's where it really starts to pay off. If you can, if you could start to push towards, and not only that, like so they're also showing 5,000 units, right? At a certain point, you're gonna, you could have the fastest assembler in the world, but you got to order production quantity parts. You got 6 to 8 week lead times, no matter what, right?
Yep.
So.
Well, it depends. If you source some more from Mouser and DigiKey, you source some more from the stockists.
Sure. But that's assuming that they have them in stock too, and you know what I mean, like that you buy them all right when you're ready to go. The same problems we've talked about, with, like your resistor stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not. This is not a panacea because there is no panacea for assembly, but this is a nice step. So I think what this really is just like if people are used to a certain type of flow, that's what it really is, right? So, it's like a brand.
I don't know why
flavor.
anyone. This is the other thing with pick and place machines. Why would anyone want to make their own boards in volume? Or in any sort, like it is just like the worst. Like it is the dregs of the electronics industry. Assembling boards is like the. It's such just.
That's a good question. I
It's
think there's a lot of
dirty, logistically
from the outset,
and physically.
it seems like a lot of fun problems to solve. Like, what if we bundle these things, and what if we optimize this cost here?
It's nice. It pushes all your engineering buttons.
Yeah, especially for software people, because there's a lot more software. So we've had Jonathan on. We've had Jonathan on the show or no?
I think
PCBNG. So. Yeah. I think, yeah. And Macrofab we've had on the show. Andrew from Circuit Hub. Yeah, so like a bunch of these services, we've had a bunch of them on the show, and they're all software people, right? Like, right. And so it sounds like a great problem to solve.
It sounds glamorous, and there are great problems to solve. But then when you've got your arms, when you're up to your armpits in freaking solder paste and fumes and freaking broken down and dicky feeders and stuff like that, you just no.
Right.
Give it to some other poor schmuck who actually morbidly likes doing this sort of stuff.
Right. Well,
It's just no. I do enjoy pick and play. Like I do enjoy hand placing and hand assembling a board.
Oh, really? You want to do mine?
It's quite therapeutic. No,
Yeah.
I'm not dumb enough to do your 50 boards. You schmuck.
No schmuck here, huh? Yeah. The no schmuck quotient.
But no, yeah, I enjoy it. It's actually therapeutic. It's like laying out a board or doing something.
I like
else.
the occasional
Nice.
soldering, but laying out a board, I will give you. That was something else I was going to bring up. I did get pretty deep into. I looked up on Saturday night and I was like, I've been doing this for a long time. I should probably stop.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, I've been. So I have something to announce about KiCad. I did almost the entire board in OpenGL mode, which is something different for me.
What's that?
So that's like the newer. So basically, it's like closer to like what you're used to with Altium stuff. But basically, that's like the
Please
rendering.
explain.
Yeah, it's a rendering engine. So it's the rendering engine for. There's the canvas, the default canvas, and then there's OpenGL, and then there's Cairo. Those are the three ones.
Yeah, but what's the physical? What's the
reason for it? Why have three?
What's the difference? What's the usability
Sure.
difference between these?
The usability difference is if you want to do like matched impedances, if you want to do like click and follow or push and shove, like all the different routing types and stuff like that. That's all.
Right. So it's more advanced. So you're saying that KiCad has two versions at the moment. One is like your one we're used to, and one is some new fancy pantsy beta OpenGL thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say beta, but like it's
Right.
like it's the future. But the main thing is like all of my videos in the past, I've never done stuff with OpenGL. So like that was the big thing. And I didn't even think like it's one of those things where it was like until you're forced into it, right? It's just like learning a CAD package as well. Until you're forced into it, you won't discover all the things because you're like, how the hell do I move a wire here or what? You know what I mean?
Right.
So
it's vastly different. It's or annoyingly different. Is it?
No, I wouldn't say it's not out of the normal. And in fact, there's some things were like very pleasing in terms of just so like polygons are a big problem in KiCad, and so I've always switched to OpenGL as soon as OpenGL mode was available. I switched to that for like reforming the plane outlines.
So you can chop and change between these modes, can you?
Yes, you can. Yeah, F9, F10, 11.
Well, like if it's so good, why isn't just the new version OpenGL only? I mean,
it will be in the future.
That's that's why I'm saying it's effectively a beta thing now.
Yeah,
right?
I guess so. Yeah, that's true.
Do they officially recommend it if you go to the de facto official KiCad site?
Is such a soft term with KiCad, you know.
See, and that's the problem I still have with it.
I think that is a problem.
Somebody's got to take it by the horns and say, "This is the one you freaking download. This is the one everyone supports."
Maybe you're talking to him, Dave. Maybe you're talking to him.
Right.
No, I think then there's lots of options just because there's a lot of people working on it. It's an open source project, right? That's how it goes.
I know, but it can't be that forever.
You're saying like an Altium or similar things. It's like here's the new way, right?
Exactly.
Right. Get on the train
Somebody's
or stop.
got to go,
piss or get off the pod kind of thing, right? Or whatever. Yeah.
Right? This is the one that we're going to support on the support forums. You know, here's the one you should be downloading. Here's the one you should be using. Mm-hmm. Here's the one you should be asking questions about. If you're asking questions about some older or alternative version, then, well, you know, that's your problem. But don't expect us to...
Tough beans, right? Yeah.
You know,
no, I get it. No,
right.
That makes sense. Yeah. So, well... Chris Gamble is officially supporting OpenGL, so. But no, it was like once I did get into it, it was actually quite pleasant. The push and shove, you know, you never really I read about that a lot, and obviously I saw it and tried it and stuff like that. But like until you do a dense board layout, you don't really know. And
you've got to use it in anger. There's no point. You can't.
That's a good way to say it.
You cannot trial PCB packages just by dicking around.
I totally agree with that.
You've got to do it in anger.
You got to get a project. We always talk about that. You need a project, and like you know. So I have getting to Blinky, and that's something, but it's even better. It's like, no. It's like, you need something that's important to you personally, right?
Yep.
Some project that will fix a problem in your life. That's kind of the hard part sometimes. So, Yep. So, yeah. KiCad.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And it's
Somebody emailed me the other day pleading for me to take another look at KiCad because it's so much better now. They were probably talking about the OpenGL thing. Because they were talking about push and shove, I think. And
don't bother,
like
folks.
that.
Come on. What do we say here? It's religion. You don't try and change someone's religion.
Yeah, no, it's like I have a license. Like, seriously, like I've got a license for Altium Designer. Why would I?
Right.
Want to use KiCad apart from
Dave,
making videos.
Dave will learn it when this is predicting if there is ever a future where Dave learns KiCad, it is in anger because something in Altium pissed him off.
Right.
Pretty much,
exactly.
right? So
exactly.
right, and not worth it otherwise.
Right.
Cool.
I was talking to David too about this the other day, and
the Amp Hour. Chris and Dave rehash conversations that they don't really remember.
and we were talking about this. Is like, what package would you use if like you couldn't afford Altium Designer, which is like the de facto industry standard,
Sure.
$5,000 type package, right? In that order, what package are you going to buy? Under 1,000, like there's the free version. If you're going for free, you're going for KiCad, right? I don't think there's probably a question there.
Right. We're doing like a live matrix comparison table here, right?
Right. and it's like, well,
and I would, to be fair, I would say that maybe even if you're not looking for free, I think it's competitive with some of the other tools out there, but
sure, but
if you must
fine.
have free, then 100%, yes,
yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do Circuit Maker. I don't like Circuit Maker.
Oh no, I think Circuit Maker's dead.
Yeah,
I think Circuit Maker's dead because Altium bought Upverter. Right. And it's clear they're going to discontinue Circuit Maker.
And like Eagle Free, it's not bad. I actually like a lot of the changes that are coming to Eagle, but there's restrictions, so you're that's kind of kicking the can down the road. So
I'd rather use Altium Circuit Studio than
so that's like the paid. But again, I was just saying free, right? So free.
compares
Eagle versus KiCad, right?
Well, the argument we were having the other day is which package would I actually use if I wanted to pay, buy a proper commercial package, but I didn't want to spend 5 or 10K for Altium. Then I came to the conclusion it'd probably be Circuit Studio.
Maybe. Yeah, I saw Jerry asking about that the other day too.
Yeah,
she was asking on Twitter about that.
I saw that.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, which one would you pick?
Well, so actually, my friend went through this, and I think it depends on your application, right? So it depends. But he's a consultant, right? And so you know what he ended up doing?
What?
He paid for designer. He called and negotiated, right? So you call and negotiate, and it's going to be expensive. But in that case, you basically pass the cost along to your clients or whatever, right? You charge,
course.
up your rate, folks.
Yep, that's right.
So designer is kind of the de facto standard for consulting and a bunch of stuff that's out there. Unless you're at a company where if you're consulting for like an Intel, then you need to learn Mentor they use or something, or
Well, that's the thing. When I was talking to John from Keysight don't use Altium, right? They use Mentor or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's really going to be like, what's your end goal there? So removing all that stuff, if you were going to start a company tomorrow and you wanted to spend,
are you talking to me?
No, I'm just saying.
No,
the general
the audience, you.
Right, the royal you.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say KiCad again. I'm going to say KiCad instead of KiCad too. I don't see, like, honestly, at that point, I don't think that the $1,000. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm very biased, right? So, if you're not going to pay for the high end stuff, I think there's no reason not to do KiCad. So. Sorry,
right.
This is a terrible question to ask me. Why are you even asking me? What did David say? What did you and David say?
Oh well, no, I said I would probably use Circuit Studio.
Right.
Because
right.
because you still get the professional support.
Right.
Yeah. And it's got almost all of the functionality of Circuit Altium Designer except the productivity enhancement.
Yeah, whatever
stuff,
that means. Yeah.
So it's almost got it's got most of the power.
Sure.
And
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad
I'd
product, but it's
probably
just a
go-
bad question to ask me, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Of course, because you've made the commitment to switch
Sure.
to KiCad.
Right. I think the other thing too is that like, so I've talked a lot in the past about. This is something I actually did want to bring up too. So Dave Vandenbout, who we've had on the show twice now. He is a Python master. I did not realize this. So there's a lot of the workflow stuff. You mentioned workflow and all team stuff, right? So like all the manufacturing stuff, that's always been terrible for KiCad.
Yep.
And so he has two, Kai Field and Kai Cost, and they're like these Python plugins. And at first I was like, oh, Python, watch out. But no, it's great. So basically it's like you can extract it, work from a spreadsheet, and then put it back in, basically. Mm-hmm. So for your costing, for your part list, for your modification, anything like that. So I fell in love with that stuff. Where was I going with that? So the reason that I say this is I've always talked about the schematic as a control document. Have I said it on the show before? I've talked about it elsewhere.
Yes, you have.
Okay, yeah. So like that basically allowed it, and I think that that's an argument against. So if people took that same mindset as like the schematic as the control document, putting it into revision control, tracking that document as the source of truth, then I think KiCad wins again because surprise, Chris. I think it wins again because then when someone else needs to access it, even though it'll be wonky and they won't know how to necessarily do it, they can at least open it without paying for it, right? And I know that there's viewers and stuff like that, but like I imagine say you start with a one-person company and you pay $1,000, it makes sense, right? But then you have 1,000-person company at someday, hopefully, right? And then it's like everybody has to have that license, kind of same thing, right? So that's really where that argument comes from.
Yeah, but it's a floating license, so it's like
interesting.
As long as only one person's using it, you're at a time, you're fine.
Yeah. Right.
So it's not and gone are the days where you have to have a seat for each person and it's node locked to the hard drive on that computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. But that's kind of just my argument there. Now I will say, like I said, I think the Eagle stuff. I think the stuff they're doing. I know a lot of people are mad at them, but I think a lot of the stuff they're doing is interesting. You and I both know Matt, who's running the group there, and I think they're doing some pretty interesting stuff actually, like the reusable block stuff and the integration with Fusion. And that's still kind of working through that, like the 3D versus the 3D CAD versus the circuit stuff. Interesting. They announced simulation, which KiCad also has, and I think Altium has.
Yep.
I think that feature across all platforms is kind of bogus. Like
simulation
LT Spice for everything, and then you put it into a program. Like don't mix the two. Yeah. So, but yeah, sure. You're not converting my religion either, Dave.
This was a nothing discussion.
Right, exactly. Right.
There's no conclusion from this.
Well, all right.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Next.
Speaking of design stuff, if people didn't see, Mike Harrison is doing the badge design for the Super Conference that I'll be at. Oh, man. That thing is beautiful. I got to talk to Mike about it beforehand, but yeah, he built a little camera in there, and it's super cool. So if people are going, I'm going to be hacking on that. It's going to be there's directions on hacking it. So
right. Okay.
Yep.
If there's directions on hacking it, that's not hacking.
No. Sorry, there's directions on what the pinout is of the header, so that you can bring boards. You can make boards now, and bring them with you.
Oh, okay.
Right. So if you want to really show up with a board that's already ready to plug in there, and it's like, and then you're just writing code. Like you won't have access. I mean, you could write code on a PIC32 beforehand, but you won't have access to the thing before that. But like,
so you can just wander up to a person and say, "Hey, let me shove this in your badge."
That sounds terrible.
I thought it might.
Sure, but yes, you could say that.
Right.
It would be interesting too. Like so Mike specifically, he did the same thing as you with the SD card instead of having like a connected option and stuff like that. Yep. So this board.
Okay. So he's done a little bootloader in the firmware.
Right. Exactly.
SD card.
SD card.
Okay.
Right. And so probably for similar reasons, also keep costs down. And that's actually the board that I'm doing. Didn't he use
an ST ARM micro as well?
No, he's using a PIC32.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, because he's a PIC32 fanboy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm actually the board that I'm building is actually meant to be interfaced with this badge too. I guess that's kind of tying it all together. So it's just a serial to a cell modem. Surprising.
Right.
Yeah. But what was it? Shit. What was I gonna say? I was assuming someone was gonna put Wi-Fi in this thing. However, watch out if you're doing Wi-Fi, right? So
Right.
yeah, there's been a kind of an important thing.
There has, yeah. We were about to update the firmware for our router here, but like it's not a big, like it's not like someone's going to suddenly hack me right now.
Right,
you know.
right.
You know.
Well, they're listening. It's in the past, so
Right.
Dave will have certainly updated by then. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. This is kind of a big one. Crack. Krack, right? I mean, again, by the time this show goes out, it'll be Sunday. If you haven't heard of it by now, you're a little behind the game. But yeah, there was a huge WPA2 vulnerability.
Which is used on every router, every
Everything.
Wi-Fi router.
Right, and
It's used on everything.
every IoT device that's Wi-Fi pretty much, right?
How long has this been around for? Surely this has been in the
Right.
in the community for a long time.
This has been in the NSA playbook for a while, I'm
yes,
sure, right?
the NSA are probably going, oh,
Damn it. Lost
now it's out of
another
the
lost
bag.
another one. Yep, exactly.
We lost another exploit, you know?
Yep. That was the
Yep.
easy one, folks. There's others out there. Yeah. But I don't know if they have. I'm sure we're gonna hear more and more about this. But I saw what is someone quoted about it. I think it was on the hack. I was on Benchoff's article on Hackaday. It was someone quoted like, "We're gonna be seeing this thing for 20 years," right? Because you think about like this is kind of the reality of like everything we do these days. Like, when's the last time you updated the firmware on? I mean, well, you weren't even able to before, but. What did you ever update the firmware on your thermostat? It's like, okay, now your Wi-Fi, your
Right.
thermostat has Wi-Fi,
Yep.
but like,
I know.
yeah.
It's just...
And then, like, yeah, people sequester devices intentionally, and then if they get lazy about it or they forget about it, right? So it's like, ooh, okay.
Yeah. Well, somebody, it was the Internet of Shit who
I'm sure.
posted this.
Right, of course.
As
our favorite
we're all good,
Twitter account, yeah.
The source of all good tweets.
That's right.
You know, they tweeted that, or retweeted or something, that Tesla, the Tesla Powerwall needs a permanent internet connection, essentially. Apparently there are workarounds, people said, but it basically needs a permanent internet connection so that it can auto-update its firmware. And it's like, holy shit.
I don't understand why
It's
Tesla
a
thought
battery
requiring
pack.
internet on a giant FN battery glued to your wall was a good idea.
Yeah, right.
Oh, man.
It's because that's their model for everything.
I do wonder
right?
about this, too. Like, so how much of this is like, well, we need it to be connected from a business standpoint, or how much of it
Right.
is we're designing this for the software engineers we have in house. Like, I again, apologies to all software engineers that are listening, but like,
Yeah,
but
no,
like, there are
it's-
so
no,
many
it's-
more people. So I had this argument with my coworker. He's like, he loves JavaScript, and I'm like, and so we were talking about the Tesla today, and I'm just like, look, I know the Tesla team; they're very nice people, but like, that was not a great product. I don't think, and maybe I'm putting a line in the sand here. I thought that's really ridiculous to have a JavaScript based hardware thing. I still think that, but. Is it we're designing these things so that it's always updatable? I mean, Jen and Alvaro talked about that too, of like, well, the product's never finished, so you have to keep updating it. Is it that, or is it something else?
Like, this is the thing. Like, why can't you just like stick an SD card slot on the side? If you want, okay, I can understand being able to upgrade the firmware, right?
Okay.
But
we have
why
a name for
can't-
this show, the SD card slot show, right?
Right. I'm freaking serious.
How about hack
Right?
my SD card slot, bitches?
This is ridiculous to require an always-on internet connection. Like, it's not like, oh, the firmware's suddenly out of date, therefore somebody's power's going to turn off, right? It's
Yeah,
bullshit. It's like,
right.
okay, here's some, like, we found a few bugs or whatnot, or we're adding a new feature, or we're doing whatever. Okay, you can, as the owner, you can choose whether or not you want to upgrade. And here's the file on our website, you know. You can email them and say, hey, we've got a new firmware. It's up to you if you want to, you know, then you can download it, you can install it.
And they've done
everything's
that for
hunky-dory.
years too. Where I mean, well, I guess you could even say this about computers. Like Windows used to allow you to like accept stuff, and now you can't. You can't opt out of like
Right,
security
right.
updates these days. So it's the same thing. And some of them I get it, right? Some of them are like secure, like true security, like it's like herd immunity type things, right?
They have dug themselves into a hole where there's no escaping this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's of their own choosing.
Yeah.
That's of their own product design choosing. They have chosen, once you choose to have that internet connection, this is the rabbit hole you find yourself in.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, it's because, like, the company's just so used to this. They're seeing all the benefits they get out of having the Tesla car, hooked up, having internet downloading and all that sort of jazz, right? And they go, well, let's extend this to the Tesla Powerwall without giving any thought to what type of product it actually is and its intended function.
Right.
It's just
so I was at a charity event last night, and it was for I was just checking it out with a friend. I'm not a part of this, but I think it's actually a great idea. It's in Chicago, and it's for people who are coming from underserved communities. This sounds like a non sequitur. I'm getting there. Don't worry. I'm coming from underserved communities who basically do apprenticeships and then can get jobs and good paying jobs, stuff like that. So of course I love it, right? I love apprenticeship ideas. But one of the apprenticeships they offer is cybersecurity. And I was like, hell yes. Talk about an industry that is going to do better and better over the years. It's it's going to be great, right? I mean, look at this stuff. We're literally we're just a band, what was it? Internet of Shit has another one. Hey, so I thought about this nightmare some more, and it's kind of scary the sheer amount of abandoned IoT stuff that could leak forever. It's like, yeah, that's true. It's gonna be, there's gonna be someone's job just patching for stuff that's stuff that never got patched, right? It's like
here you go. The Internet of Things is an endless Y2K.
Endless Y2K.
It's an endless Y. There's a quote, right?
An endless Y2K.
It's an endless Y. I'm going to tweet this.
Oh, okay.
The Internet of Things is endless.
This is
Y2K problem.
This is how Dave, stakes a claim. He's gonna do it now.
Yep.
He's gonna do it right now.
I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna do it now. Well, at least I'm gonna start the tweet.
Yeah, okay.
And then I'll polish
so he
it
doesn't
later.
forget. Okay. Right.
Yeah. Is the Y2K is the endless Y2K.
Enthralling radio, folks.
Whatever.
Right.
Yep.
How do we patch Dave tweeting things? Oh, man. Yeah,
well, we could if we had a video version. But that's essentially what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's the Y2K.
I guess
which
batteries running out will help with things not spewing bad traffic.
For those who are too young, for those millennials out there who forget...
People who were born in 2000 who are now 17 going on 18, yeah?
Born after that. But
Jesus.
It was for those who were working in the industry at the time, don't realise how big this was.
There's a documentary about it, though.
Is there?
Yeah, it's called Office Space.
Right. And within our company at the time, I was tasked with, I was the C2K, I was the Y2K guy, right? I was the one who had to go around and ensure that all of our products, every single nitpicky freaking
Dave's
thing
your IT guy.
was Y2K compliant.
There's my endless Y2K.
And,
when Dave is your IT guy.
Yeah. No, it's not, but it involved every bit of electronics. Even if the product didn't have a real-time clock in it, I had to still certify that product was Y2K compliant.
Well,
I had to document.
Good way to burn some time. You're like, oh yeah, gotta go certify those water fountains.
I'm serious. I had to write a document for like an amplifier I designed and to certify that it's
an amplifier?
Y2K compliant. Yeah, like I'm using that. Yeah, like a charge amplifier
without any microcontroller on board.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
But that was the blanket company
No
rule. Every bit of electronics,
no COBOL code to be seen. But yeah, okay.
Every bit of electronics had to be certified year 2000 compliant.
I was going to say to their credit, it didn't. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Right. No.
Oh my God, that was half my life ago, Dave.
Exactly.
Oh my God, Jesus. Oh man, I didn't even think about that. That's depressing. Yep. Oh boy.
Yep. More than half your life. You're not that old yet.
I'm 34. I was
18 years ago, so yeah.
Yeah, I was 17 when I just remember I was 17 when that happened. So.
Right. Okay.
16 maybe. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. That was a long time ago.
Yep.
I do remember feeling. I do remember the fear. I have to say.
Right.
I do remember the fear.
Mm-hmm. Countless doomsday books.
Yes.
Anyway, speaking of this sort of Internet of Things, always connected, like, how, like a simple product like a battery, how far do you go? Well, I've got a example of the product we're working on at the moment. We're back on the micro supply.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. And, like, we've been arguing, endlessly, like, what should it have?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Should it have Wi-Fi, Bluetoothy connection just because it's so cheap to add?
What if you had
Right?
Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, but you had a tiny explosive device in there that you could just trigger, I guess that's a battery. You just
We can short it out, right? We'll put a huge MOSFET, a grunty MOSFET, straight across the battery, and then we can turn
Bingo.
it on under
Right.
software control.
I was gonna say maybe you could just have the battery like burn out a trace somewhere or something. You know what I mean? Like are those things like that where you like burn out like a resistor and then no? Is that... What was it? You used to talk about the scuttling, right? Wasn't that the scuttling device?
Yes, yeah, the scuttling of the product. Yes, you used to burn a resistor, pass current through a resistor, which burnt the flotation bag on our
flotation bag. Got it.
The flotation bag, which kept our solder boys afloat, so we'd scuttle them to the bottom of the ocean.
Got it. Okay, so
Yeah,
it was. So we need some kind of like
Russian
modern.
subs couldn't come around and pick them up.
Right, we need some kind of modern IoT scuttling device. That's what we need, or like a circuit that would do that, right? So it like burns I don't know, it burns the Wi-Fi antenna or something off.
So you nuke it after a certain, like, if this product is going to not be used anymore and it's going to be a vulnerability, let's nuke it.
Like, could we do something where it like it has a circuit in there that just injects noise into the Wi-Fi circuit, the Wi-Fi antenna or something?
Dude, it is the Snake Plissken 666 option.
What? Okay, go ahead.
You haven't seen Snake Plissken. You haven't seen Escape from LA.
Oh my God! I've seen the cover, and I've never worked up the gumption to watch it. It's a Kurt Russell movie, right?
It's Kurt Russell. This is the follow-up. It's the Doomsday device, and the code is 666, and it basically puts the entire planet back to the Stone Age.
I think this was on at a bar. Was eating dinner once, and it just reaffirmed that I don't want to watch it. It looked really bad. I mean, Kurt Russell movies usually are, but
come on, the original Escape from New York is a classic.
Okay, right.
Escape from LA is just fun.
Is it? Okay.
Anyway,
All right. So that's what. So we have a name, right? We can co-opt that name. But
the 666 option.
I think the real thing though is like it needs to actually have like a fusing element, right? So like it cuts the the serial line to the Wi-Fi module or something like that, right? I don't know.
That reminds me of the 555 contest entry that I was going to enter into your 555 contest.
Oh, talk about throwback, huh? Yeah, 2011.
Yeah, talking about throwback.
Yeah.
I actually built this up. I've lost the circuit now, but I actually built this up.
Oh, we made you a judge. That's probably why you didn't do it.
Right, probably. Yeah. But I was going to enter just for kicks. Like I was going to rule myself out of the the thing or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
That was to get. I actually developed a 555 circuit that would kill itself.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just
throw that in.
After it was literally a single shot.
So how did it kill itself?
That's the secret. That's the secret.
Right. Well,
maybe
you're gonna put it in the new product now.
Circuit.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that is an interesting idea.
Actually,
like, should these devices? Okay, so maybe that's a real question these days. Is should connected devices have a real timeline on them? I don't know. Like maybe you could go in and remove the jumper, but if you don't know about it, right, you just kills itself. I don't know.
Well, you just turn off the power at that point.
Yeah. Huh.
Anyway.
Let us know in the comments. We don't really hear much in the comments anymore. That's okay. I don't really. Yeah. But I would be interested to know, like, this is, we got a lot of, I saw some pushback when there was the things about, like, killing devices that were on networks that were, like, spewing code, right? So there was someone who went out and when there was, I forget which vulnerability it was, but basically it was one of the IP cameras that the default thing got hacked, and a botnet was loaded onto it, and then someone went out and basically found these cameras and figured out a way for them to basically kill themselves, right? And people said, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. That's their property," right? But at a certain time, this is like kind of like a tragedy of the commons kind of thing, right? It's like there's a finite amount of bandwidth on the internet, and if these devices that are zombied out there, it's like The greater good.
Right.
The greater good. What, you don't get my movie reference now? Come on, Dave. No? Hot Fuzz?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Right.
No, I haven't seen Hot Fuzz.
Oh, man.
Yeah, actually I have, but I don't remember.
Oh, God.
I don't.
That's an amazing one.
Sorry.
Anyways, yeah, I'd love to hear from people about this. Back to batteries, though, because you were talking about batteries.
Yes, well, no, I hadn't finished.
Right.
I hadn't
you
finished
were
talking about product design.
Right. That's what I meant. That's what I meant by batteries.
Ah, right, yes. Back to the real product design, the microcurrent. Like, should it have, like Wi-Fi, Bluetoothy connectivity was one thing, and the other was like, well, it's a freaking power supply. So what sort of user interface should it have?
Yeah.
And we're debating, like, should it have a dot matrix screen or should it have, like, a proper
Vacuum
custom... LEDs.
Yeah.
These were all considered.
Okay.
And it's like, and now we're erring towards like a custom LCD.
Oh, interesting.
Like
yeah,
a
because I guess the
custom
default
7-segment LCD.
Right, the default these days is headless, right? It's headless and then Bluetooth to a phone,
well,
right?
No. The default these days would be a dot matrix OLED.
No, I mean,
Right,
sorry,
thing.
I meant like default for product. Not you're right, not for test equipment, but just like if
Oh yeah, no, we're not talking about products. We're talking about test gear.
you said product design, I'm just saying if you're gonna say it, you have to say test gear design then. It's like a separate.
Test gear
It's like a subset, Anyways, yeah, you're right.
No, it wouldn't be headless. You would put in a dot matrix screen.
Okay.
In any modern product.
Did you consider headless or no?
Yeah, but it's dumb.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's dumb. It's a power supply. You want a freaking voltage and current readout on it.
I mean, if you have a big
it's
red
just
button, then you're fine.
It's totally retarded.
Okay, go ahead. Fine. Yeah, you're the test equipment guy. I just worked at a test equipment company. What do I know? With vacuum tubes.
Really? You would design a headless power supply?
I don't know, actually. It depends on the application. I'm just saying that because we were talking about general product stuff. So keep going. Sorry.
Right. Anyway, yes, we think we're going back old school when we're going to do a custom LCD. Yes, it doesn't have the flexibility of a dot matrix LCD, but it has improved contrast, potentially lower cost because, once you get rid of the tooling charge, once that one-off tooling charge, then they're very cheap.
Sure.
And it's got just what you want. Nothing more.
Right, literally,
but the downside is you
probably
can't...
have to do a custom, right? I mean, not have to, but...
Oh, yeah, no.
It's worth it to do a custom, yeah.
Yeah, no, you can't really use an off-the-shelf one. It doesn't work.
Right.
So
you actually spec out like the different character displays, stuff like that, right?
The different digits. Dave, right in front of me now, has got an editing screen open and he's changing the fonts on this custom LCD.
When engineers start doing fonts, it usually does not end up looking too good.
Bad.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's.
Anyway, please pass along that I have faith in him. That he's a young and capable engineer, I'm sure. But
right.
But if it looks ugly, he's gotten out. He's like, what? I'm an engineer.
Well, we're going to put it on the forum for opinion very shortly.
Good.
So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
So
I think that's a big cost adder. All those things are like I mean, I guess even talking to Mike.
What is the big cost adder?
Of just displays in general, right? I mean, like.
Oh, right. Yeah. User in it. Like, knobs are expensive.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Knobs.
Yep.
Bloody hell.
Yep.
A chunk of plastic, with a nice rubber coating on it is bloody expensive.
Yeah, right. Yep. That plastic ain't going to injection mold itself, man. Right, and especially if you want to differentiate too, right? And like having that look and feel, and especially in your case, because you're talking pretty low volume, right? I mean, hopefully high volume, but low volume to start with.
But no, we're talking thousands,
right.
And we're not talking 100,000.
And if it's in the realm of the microcurrent too, like you have kind of a built-in expectation of costs and stuff like that based on your other products.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yes.
Dave's moving up the value chain right now with the 121 GW meter. So.
Yes,
get his customers primed for paying more money. Then he hits him with the power supply.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, so that'll be on the forum shortly for comment and endless debate, I'm sure.
Cool.
Endless.
Yeah, that's great.
Because some people go, oh, but the dot matrix screen, they're so cheap anyway, and it gives you all the flexibility, then you can hack it, and then you can have graphs, and you can have,
the hack it thing. That's an interesting one. I would say the if you want to say hack it, right? put an extension header on it, expansion header rather, because if people aren't willing to do that, then they're not willing to do anything. And
most people love the idea of hackability. 99.9999% of them will do jack all.
Right. Because there's other things to do, right? Or they want to build their own thing or whatever. But if
they just want a product that freaking works.
Right, exactly.
They don't want to hack it.
Right. I agree with that. I think the expansion header is good though, like especially if there's room, right?
Right.
But whatever,
Well, I can't talk about the form factor and other features at this point.
That's right. Secret squirrel.
Secret squirrel.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. We're getting bits and pieces here, folks.
But we are going to hang our balls on the chopping block and put up the LCD for comment.
Yeah, that's okay.
So
Are you willing to state?
Oh, David's balls are on the chopping block. Okay. So yeah, not mine. So yeah, he just wanted to make that clear.
Got it. Right. You hired him, man. Management is all about taking
responsibility.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Any thoughts about custom plastics or no?
Once again, that would yes, it has been considered.
Okay.
But no, I can tell you now without giving much away. We have found a suitable off-the-shelf case.
Okay.
So we'll probably
that's a big
be
thing,
using
right?
that.
I mean, that's like really getting out there. I think in product design.
Because like David's like a 3D modeling guy, right?
Sure,
so he gets all moist about being able to design a case.
Right, but modeling is way different than like It's like the manufacturability piece, and really just the overhead, like. You've done that before, though, right? You've done that.
I know I've done that, and like I just like, and because I'm holding it in, like I've got it in my hand right now. I bought it, right? I've got the case. Here it is, and it's anodized and it's all done, and it cost me, $15 one off. Right.
Yep.
And here it is done.
And often
so why
that
not
is
design around that?
That is. I think that's the problem is that most people don't go to that step first, right? They don't search hard enough, and they say, "Oh, we have to do custom," and it's like, man. That, especially if you're just making a box at the end, right? It's like,
Well, the other problem with custom is that there's too much flexibility. I love when all the design constraints are given to me. Here's the case. We have to design it around this.
Yep.
We have to choose the LCD that fits the buttons, that fit the knobs, that fit the terminals, that fit everything else, right? The heat sinks, and
Right. Especially with the heat stuff, too, because you have to calculate, not only how much power it's burning, but then also how much, the case can get out and all that stuff. And when you start, being like, oh, well, we could just put in extra vent slots here, and we could put in fins there, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, whoa. And, that could go forever, right? It's like...
it's an iterative...
artificial intelligence can design my heat sink, and it's like, oh, well, good luck with manufacturing that. So,
Anyway.
I'm on board there. I think that's good.
Yep.
So, cool, man.
So, anyway, we did consider it. We haven't... having discussions over whether or not we should go custom, and then we found one. We found one, and we both agreed. Oh yeah, that's pretty nice. Let's socially run with that.
Well, and I think early days too.
And then we might.
You can always go custom later.
We might customize it slightly by taking the manufacturer's existing drawings. Sorry, manufacturer, and we'll modify it and maybe make a few changes, but it gives us something to work around.
Right, but that's. Honestly, unless you need something really custom, I mean, that's how a lot of white labeling works, anyways. Where you start with a prototype. Who was talking? I think Akiba was talking about that. Where you kind of show up to a showroom, and then you pick out a thing, and then you say, "Can you do this and that?" And they say, "Oh yeah, we can do this. We can't do that."
Right. Yeah. That's right.
So that's you're doing it right,
anyway.
man. Well, you're doing it.
Yep.
that's all that really matters, right?
That's the more important thing.
Right.
It doesn't matter whether you're doing it right or not.
Right. Yep. I wanted to bring up one thing because this is 2 weeks ago, so we didn't get a chance to talk about it. I'm just so incredibly happy about this. I don't know how real it is. I haven't tried it. Google built the Babel fish, man. Did you read about that?
No.
Yeah. So this was part of their Pixel 2 release. I know this is totally switching gears, but we're kind of running out of time.
Thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But so the idea is, it's using Google Translate, so you do need to be connected, but the idea is you're wearing these earbuds that are tied to your phone, and then it translates what you're hearing directly in your ear. And
right.
As I posted,
with a slight delay, which could be
right.
No.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I did wonder if it will understand what you're trying to say, but but at the same time, I just think this is there's so much shitty stuff happening in 2017. Like this just really made it made my day. It was a really I think this might have been the day of Las Vegas stuff, and like this really made my day. So I don't know. Sometimes it hits you. You know, we are living in the future, folks. It's kind of cool. So you're not excited by this? Is no one excited? Come on.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, it's great.
Come on, man. Got the Babel fish. We've got the Hitchhiker's Guide, effectively.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well,
it's cool. No,
I'll just go back over here.
But like, it's just like, well, like it's not such an like. I've expected this for 10 years. Like, you know, it's not like, wow, here it is.
It's so easy now, right now.
Like, it's just like, of course.
I think if there's an argument against it, it's that it doesn't really change much more than like holding your phone. Like, people already do this in markets in China and stuff.
You've got
talk
apps
into your phone.
You get apps that do this, and you hold it up to the person, and the person speaks.
Right.
And I haven't used it, but you can get them, and the person speaks, and then it translates it. Like, you know, just because it does it in real time.
I know,
that's like,
but it's just in your ear. That's so cool. You know, that's like Star Trek and Hitchhiker's Guide. And yeah, sometimes you just got to nerd out. I guess. What else on our list? We anything else? Oh, was you.
Was you? I assume U stands for university.
It does, yeah. I'm actually very curious to what he's going to do here.
I didn't quite get it. Like I read it. I can't remember the details now, but there wasn't like there didn't seem to be a defined thing of what they're actually doing.
It's going to be like a Udacity for electronics, maybe whatever. But it says it's center around computer support specialists, software developers, data science, mobile applications, blah blah blah. So yeah, I obviously these kind of things catch my eye because I'm waiting for like someone like Woz to be like, and electronics, and I'll be like, yay, sort of. But
like I didn't see anything like what's different. This is like Udemy already exists. Like
right. You know, yeah, and maybe it's like just his version. I don't know. Maybe maybe it's like a foundational thing, whatever. But
okay.
Maybe he just wanted to have Woz U.
Right, yeah. Fine.
Is the Woz in Oz? Did that end up happening or no?
He's not here as far as I know.
Oh, I thought he was moving there. I thought he was one of the...
Oh, right. Oh, God, that was ages ago.
Yeah, right.
That was years ago. Donkey's years ago.
Right. No? Okay.
Yeah. No.
Okay. I will say one other thing is so there was Adafruit has been working on the Circuit Python, and I got to talk to Tony, who's been on the show before, and Scott, and this is creeping up on us, right? So just the cheapness of ARM devices, stuff like that, and like I think this is the big thing. I know that I've talked about it since. And I haven't used it all that much in my projects because I haven't been doing many projects. But I don't know. I think that it's worth checking out. So CircuitPython is a variant on MicroPython, which is what Tony talked about when he was on the show. So people should check it out. Just like that, I guess this kind of contradicts my whole thing about JavaScript on hardware, and I do realize that.
But sorry, but for me, this is just like the 50th different development platform to come along in the last 5 years.
Maybe
it's just.
I think Python as an educational tool is pretty strong. Like here's my reasoning.
I can't help but get there's just seems to be so many of them.
Sure, there's a ton. You're totally right, and I think that I saw there was a question on the ECE subreddit yesterday. It was about like, is C still relevant? Of course, that question gets asked every 6 months,
right?
And it's like, yes, of course, it's still relevant. And the only thing that's changed is that there's more and more and more variants of other things, right? Other languages come and go. It's always interesting to watch that trend graph of like, what are the most popular languages and stuff. But yeah, C still runs a lot of the hardware out there. I mean, C runs MicroPython, right? So
it's got to be running. C's got to come on. Let's get serious. C's got to be running 99% of in industrial type commercial microcontroller type products out there. It's got to be. If it's not 99%, I'll be a monkey's uncle.
You'll eat your hat. Do you wear hats?
I'll eat my hat.
Yeah.
I'll eat my tinfoil hat.
There you go. I'm sure that it's very prevalent out there. I think the thing is, what's changing is just the stacks on top of that, right? How fast are those things? How much power is behind them? And then, can something like a language like this then enable people to do more on top of it, right? Or make it easier for newcomers. Those things should be encouraged, right? again, even the Tesla, like I was talking about, like Tesla was, an interpreter that was running on a thing that eventually, you got down into the depths of it. Eventually there was C drivers, on that, what was that, MediaTek processor or something like that. So yeah, I mean, like, so it's just about how many stacks there are, how close you are to the hardware. Like you're saying, I mean, a lot of it, yeah, you got C in there, you got assembly, you got machine code, all that stuff's in there. So, yep, yep.
Okay, fine.
I will link the C language discussion. I did not join in.
And I'll just yawn and
yeah. Anyways, well, I like Tony, I like Scott. They're both great. So yeah, it was good conversation at Open Hardware. So.
All right, cool.
Cool.
We've got to be done, surely.
Yes, I think so.
We're way over.
If not, people can always reach us on our subreddit. And thank you to the ongoing support of our Patreons.
Yes, thank you very much.
They're great. We'll be sending out a microphone, I'm sure, to some guests in the future.
Yep.
Cool, man. Well, good luck on your product development. Tell David, too, I said hello.
Thank you very much. Chris says hello.
Oh, I guess.
Hello, there he is in the back.
Friggin' Taurus. he's just along for the ride. All right, cool. We'll talk to you next week.
Catch you next time.